So the other thing I wanted to talk about was how fucking cringy Hannibal is. So I think I briefly mentioned this in something I was talking about like a week ago. Because I watched the first series whilst I wasn't feeling great, and I basically just I basically wasn't feeling great, so I just drifted in and out of sleep. But I think I watched the first like four episodes, and I just slept through the rest, and I just thought, man, this is so cringy. It's so crazy, like crazy bad. Um, so I'll go through my history with the books. I guess I read them when I was a child. I remember being pre like 11, 12, because when I got to like whatever you call it, like I guess you call it high school, or we called it comprehensive or whatever. So I guess when I got to that age, I remember the teachers not letting me check uh one of the books. I can't remember which. It was probably Hannibal out of the library. I think at that point I've read Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs. Um, and she said, no, you're not old enough. It was in so like I think I just went and like got my mum or dad to buy it me, or what, and then watched all the films like Manhunter, Red Dragon, uh, all the rest of them. Hannibal was bad. I remember Hannibal the film being pretty bad. Um, I remember not thinking Silence of the Lambs was that great. It just got everybody said it was great. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those things where everybody said it was fucking amazing, but and you look at the names of these things and you wonder why Anthony Hopkins is going. Oh, don't one Anthony Hopkins was in the shit like it was. Do you know what I mean? It's what he's known for. Like people think of Anthony Hopkins, like most people my age or older are going to say Silence of the Lambs. Maybe some younger people are going to say Thor or whatever. But like most people are probably going to say Silence of the Lambs. Maybe like what was that fucking Hearts in Atlantis or some shit. Or some people might say that. But like Silence of the Lambs. Do you know what I mean? You look at and you're talking like Hannibal Lecter might be a real person. Hmm. Silence of the lambs. Like what do people in the church refer to as their flock, the sheep that they protect from the wolves, right? Hmm. Who wants to silence their own flock? Who wants to make it so that people don't talk through fear? Hmm. Is that church slash police? Oh, I think it is. So like you look at these books, like I think the guy's name is like Thomas Harris or something. Um, from what I remember I remember back then thinking, I guess I just liked gory depictions of shit. I was just a kid, so I liked horror films because I liked seeing stuff and being like, blood. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh no, tense moments and whatever. And then you watch it back as an adult and you think like it's quite clear in Hannibal that they're using it to try and shape. I mean, both Hannibal and Will Graham and the whole like all of the music and everything. If you were looking at this as a weapon and you were thinking that people don't own the USA, and you were either thinking that because I'm not sure if something like Hannibal would have been made with the intention to wind up like the white man. However, you do think that, or not even just the white man, but just the man or whatever, but like men in the Western civilizations, but like it basically has like a fairly big, what you would consider masculine black guy in Larry Fishburne, and then you have I think it would sound better if his name was Barry Fishburne, to be honest, but um. And then you have Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter, who are like the campest, most pretentious people. Do you know what I mean? And what I talked about previously in the first series was like these people that Hannibal kills. I guess this is a lot to do with what like Masons feel and understand, right? they think like, oh, um, you kill a sort of aspects of yourself. So I guess I think that the writer thinks that he or she or they are Hannibal. And I think that they think that they used to. If you're looking at this as a personal level and not doing it as like some biblical text, then I think what the writer has done is seen Hannibal as self, Will Graham as younger self, and a bunch of the people that Hannibal kills, I think he's seeing as like old versions of himself. And it's so embarrassing that somebody would aspire to want to be Hannibal. Do you know what I mean? It's so cringy, so bad. So bad that somebody would want to say, I am the most intellectual. You can never manipulate me. Like, it's so bad, man. Everybody can be manipulated because everybody gets hungry. Do you know what I mean? So ridiculous, man. It's such it just reminds me of so many people in society. It reminds me of so many people that do like, you know who I think idolize these types of people? People that work. Like, I was about to say people that work like it's no surprise that Trump's talking about it a lot. And I can see the type of people. I think people would have gone into psychology because they watched Hannibal, and that is just the icing on the fucking cake for me. Do you know what I mean? You know when because like loads of people went into psychology when I was younger. I did like 2 weeks at Bilba College and went, fuck this shit. Do you know what I mean? Smoking weed is way better, and I was right. Um, like it's such a it's such a beg friend. You know if you're going, I am going to be the most Hannibal of all the Hannibals. Like, man, give me a fucking break. It's super cringy, and I guess looking at it, if it was a weapon, I would say that it would maybe be to annoy. It would either be to shape men into thinking that that aesthetic was something that they would want to be. I think that maybe they think that that causes some sort of hatred of self that they need to kill in their older years. Personally, I don't. I think that wanting to be Maximus, I think that Commodus is like, I don't know why Commodus is any worse or better than Maximus. They're both just literally people that are the fault of like a corrupt society. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't seem like anything else apart from like a corrupt society breeding two people who, because they couldn't coexist, killed each other and destroyed a load of families and other people and got a load of other people killed. I just don't understand like really what the problem is. Madness. It would seem like Commodus is somebody that inherited a bunch of tactics from old men that think that we need to kill people. Sorry, what's his name? It would seem that Maximus wasn't a very clever. You would think that people that go into being Maximus, right, are people that aren't very clever. So they think that, and they've inherited military methods of, oh, we need to fight and kill, right? We need to fight and kill everything. Um, Strangely, the same people that insult Maximus, right, would that love Maximus and the concept of this gladiator character would hate Commodus. Yeah, if in the film Maximus was to arm his archers and say, fire over there, all these people that like use steads to pump up their muscles because they can't face the fact that they're getting old, would basically go, how dare somebody be an internet troll? Yeah, you know what's more manly and definitely not cowardly? Carrying a machine gun to shoot somebody that worships what you perceive to be a different god in a different country because your country has a bunch of people that need to just put their fucking foot down too often. Do you know what I mean? They just need to ram their foot down on the motorway and just burn through all that fucking fuel. Right, they're burning through all that energy. So now you need to send people over to countries that are less civilized to rob their oil by force, by murdering, by literally sending drones to shoot people in the back. Do you know what I mean? You think that's mad. However, long distance shooting that doesn't use a gun and says we can talk about any of and somebody that says, yeah, I'm going to shoot from afar because I'm sitting at home and it's what I'm interested in doing. But you want to talk about the shit anytime, talk about it with me. You want a physical fight over something that's wound you up, get to the gulag, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Like what? I don't really give a shit. You want to swing at me, swing at me. I'm not really fussed. But like, if you think that that's being a man, do you know what I mean? Not being able to bite your tongue. If you're not faced with physical threat, if you're just being faced with words and you're going, I need to go out and hit that person, I would say gulag, really, isn't it? Like, I don't know any other way. Um, but yeah, it seems extremely strange that like people would go long range shooting with words. What utter fucking scum. Long range shooting with weapons, bow and arrow, guns. Yeah, that's the most manly shit I can think of. But like using a weapon that has the force to murder somebody is more manly. It's crazy. Not allowing somebody to exist because you think that they impede on your existence. Yeah. Yeah, that's the more manly of the types of attack there, for sure. And you think, well, like, you could probably have people saying, well, why do you have a problem then with, uh, why do you have a problem then with police hacking your PC phone because you're physically assaulting me? That's psychological torture. That's not somebody saying, I have an opinion. That's not one person saying, I have an opinion on this. That's a whole police force and military force and everybody associated with the Church of England rounding on me, right? Not giving a fuck if I live or die and just wanting to torture my existence. Little bit different that than one person going, I have an opinion on this. Anyway, so Hannibal. Um, Also, I saw that the name Hannibal is to do with Baal, which is another. I think Baal was either pre Yahweh or after Yahweh. I think it was Canaan, from the region of Canaan. And basically, Baal is the person who, it says the rider of clouds. And it says that that has sexual connotations and equitarian connotations or whatever. And I guess, like, what I thought after this was, oh, well, does that mean that Baal fucks the clouds because he wants them to get bigger and bigger and fill up with that much rain that when they pour, because rain helps shit to grow, right? I guess. Maybe they think that when there's too much sunshine or when the flowers aren't growing properly, do you know what I mean? They need clouds to rain, I guess. That's maybe what I was thinking. But Hannibal, I guess, like, just if you're gonna remake that shit again, because I'm not gonna. I remember the first time watching the first two series. I haven't seen the third series yet. Maybe that's going to change everything for me. Reading a little brief description, I don't think it will. But like, I remember the first time I watched the first two series, I thought first series trash, second series really good because of Mads Mikkelsen's performance. This time round, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking it's so incredibly lame, so incredibly lame. Uh, And I guess like I don't I never really thought that Hannibal the film and Silence of the Lambs were that good anyway. I remember sort of liking Red Dragon with Edward Norton in. I remember thinking that that was a lot better than, and by that time it seemed like people didn't really like. I also remember liking Hannibal Rising and people not really liking that. Um, but yeah, it's a strange setup. I think I'm going to come back to this over and over again, but I don't really know what the point is. I mean, the shit that it talks about in like the ways that it sort of like glorifies his kills is like so lame, man. So lame. Oh, he filled them up with heroin. They all have heroin in them, and then they have some sort of chemical that makes them have a plastic sheen over them, more than likely to protect. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. Do you know what I mean? Like, yo, this is the lamest shit I ever heard in my fucking life, man. Shut up. So bad. Man, it's so bad. I don't even know what the point is of like the imagery of the black deer and like killing self with fucking because Will Graham used to be a deer and all. Or, do you know what I mean? It's like it used to be hunted with long shots and whatever. Like it's so bad, man. It's so bad. I know that they keep saying you're taking the fun out of all of this, but like if you find that fun, if you've been watching that going, oh, how delectable, Mr. Lecter. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've been watching that shit, like, oh, this is amazing. Like it's not crap, utter shite. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm watching ballet. I feel like I've just watched two series of ballet, all the like classical music and all the like, because I like classical music and I like decent food, but like portraying it in that way is such a falsity. Like Hannibal farts, man. Do you know what I mean? Will Graham scratches his butthole and then smells the fucking shit on his finger afterwards, like, and then probably goes and makes the food that he probably goes and makes those canapes and laughs that somebody is going to be eating some fucking prosciutto with after he's just scratched his ass and rolled the fucking rolled the I can't remember any canapes, man. I don't give a fuck about canapes. Like canapes are actually quite fun. Canapes are loads of fun. But like, yeah, it's a crap show. So weird to like dress things up like that. I guess on the one hand, like you want a little bit of you almost think like, well, I do want a little bit of like I don't really want to see someone that I want to find like I guess maybe you think, oh, I want a little bit of mystery to life and I don't want that to be it. But like why? All of these falsities are what create a lot of the things that we perceive to be illness. Do you know what I mean? I figure. Um, So yeah, I mean, it's hard not to laugh at the guy that plays Will Graham is. I actually started like you know one of the characters that I did like. I started like I remember the first time I watched it being like this Mason character is such a twat, but like watching the Mason guy, I was like, oh, actually Mason seems okay. Felt a bit like and the whole thing of Hannibal like feeding him his face because he wanted to show the Mason like, oh, I'm feeding himself back to him and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm making him, I'm showing him what people think of him, and then I'm getting it to feed himself to his pigs or whatever. Like I thought that is trash, man. Because anybody that would write a book like Hannibal never fed anybody to anybody. Do you know what I mean? Uh, they just kept killing themselves over and over and over again. But I guess that probably that's all. The Mason character was probably also somebody that Hannibal perceives. I don't know whether I think that was probably based on Freemasons, and also probably based on, you know, this is probably some like Charles thing where I'm sure that he laughs at this. So, like, yes, that's what I do. I feed the Masons to themselves and whatever. Like, why? Part of a religion that believes you have to torture everybody. You should shut your fucking mouth and you should not be sat on that seat and you should not have that hat. Do you know what I mean? It's disgusting. It's disgusting that we support these people that get off on it. I cannot understand this notion of like people laugh pointing their finger at anybody that they perceive to be beneath them, right? And sometimes like because you do that naturally, but they never try and go, okay, like can you understand me for a second? Do you want because you know what I seem to do is I go, hmm. I sometimes when something is so out of whack, I just go mute for me. Like if something is so crazy, if something is so crazy or so utterly ridiculous in terms of like trolling or like, I just go mute. I don't. What's the point in lowering myself to that? If something is like crazy, if something is like I think it seems a lot more natural, or I think it's somebody looking at, then I go, okay, well, I'll at least try and speak to that. I'll insult it sometime, because if they're being insulted, like, and then I'll try and speak to it, and then if it just mute after that, I guess I don't need to hear it. But what's funny is that like what you're doing is you're doing this on a scale of on a mass scale, and you think that that's acceptable. I'm saying I don't want to talk to people on social media, a choice that I make, right? Other people, if they don't like what I have to say, also have the ability to mute me on an individual basis. What you're doing is you're going, no, this affects me, and I'm going to mute this person to the world. And you don't see how that's utterly disgusting. And not only that, you're doing it because you're saying you can't recruit me. You don't see that how that is utterly and completely disgusting. Um, but yeah, Hannibal, so bad. I just think that the way that they discuss other people, the way that they discuss people that they don't like, um, the way that they murder the people that they murder, seems mad. Seems crazy that it took, and I think it probably had such a big following. Like I said, I remember watching Silence of the Lambs and people saying it's like the scariest film ever, and I watched it and I thought that was crap. Do you know what I mean? I thought Anthony Hopkins was crap. I thought the film was crap. I thought Jodie Foster was crap. And the same with Hannibal was 10 times worse. Hannibal was 10 times worse. Manhunter, I think I remember liking it a bit more because it was a bit grittier. And Red Dragon was a lot better. Um, but yeah, the series is like so incredibly crap. I've got a feeling that if I rewatched Hannibal Rising, I'd find it worse. I don't even know if there is a point in making this any longer than 24 minutes. I seemingly have talked about films that are a lot cheesier and like for like an hour, but like I don't even think there's a point in going over the scenes. It's just going to make me wince. is just going to make me cringe with how bad the philosophies of our culture and churches are, and just religion as a whole, monarchy, our values of hierarchy, the imagery. I preferred watching Rambo open his blinds, see an advert for Coca-Cola and flip his lid after murdering a town full of people. That was better than anything that Hannibal had to show me.